Dr. Muninder Kumar, you could start the introduction. Hello? Dr. Muninder? Could you please turn on your microphone, Dr. Muninder?
Microphone on है सर आपका।
Dr. Muninder, can you unmute yourself?
हमको बस सब वो भी बोल रहे थे आपको इंट्रोड्यूस कर नहीं करना था।
दोबारा से करूं क्या आपका?
And you are audible, sir.
चलो आप जाओ।
For now, I have kept Dr. Mokshita mute so that there is no echo. Dr. Muninder, you can start by introducing her. Hello? Dr. Muninder, can you unmute yourself? You're still on mute.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Whether I am audible or not?
Yes, you are audible now.
Okay, sir. With the... Can I go for introduction?
Yes, yes.
Very warm good morning to one and all. I am Dr. Munendra Kumar, presently working as Associate Professor in the Department of Animal Nutrition, College of Veterinary Science and Animal Husbandry, Duashu, Mathura. On behalf of NADCL and myself, I would like to introduce today's expert of morning session, Dr. Mochita Gupta. Dr. Gupta has excellent academic record. She obtained her bachelor degree from college from Faculty of Veterinary Science and Animal Husbandry, Sere Kashmir University of Agricultural Science and Technology, Jammu in the year 2014. Dr. Gupta obtained her MBSc degree with major in animal nutrition from the veterinary from the same institute in the year 2016. She secured first position and awarded with gold medal in MBSc degree program. She obtained her doctorate degree from the country's premium veterinary and animal science research institute, that is Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Izzat Nagar, Bareilly in the year 2020. Dr. Gupta started her career as assistant professor in the Department of Animal Nutrition, Kishanganj campus of Bihar Animal Science University, Patna on 31st March 2023. She got selected and joined as assistant professor on 7th of December 2023 in the Department of Animal Nutrition, College of Veterinary Science and Animal Husbandry, Duashu, Mathura. Dr. Gupta is actively involved in teaching, research and extension related activities in the area of animal nutrition. Till now, she has published more than 20 research and review articles in very high impact journals. She has published 5 book chapters, 5 laboratory manuals, and many more in the category of magazine articles. Dr. Gupta is recipient of number of award, honors, recognition, some of important like Young Scholar Award in Veterinary Nutrition Science, Emerging Research Award, Best Teacher Award, INSC Research Excellence Award, Kranti Jyoti Savitribai Phule Women's Achievers Award, Dr. C.M. Singh National Award of Excellence, Dr. Varghese Kurin Award of Excellence, and recently IAWV Young Scientist Award. I'm not going very deep in detail because she has several other academic achievements. I am highly thankful to Dr. Mochita Gupta for agreeing to deliver today's expert lecture on topic entitled Precision Livestock Feeding, a Breakthrough Towards Sustainability. Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Mochita, screen is yours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Mokshita. If you could unmute once again because there was an echo.
Is it okay? Okay, okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much,
Yes,
sir.
yes, it perfectly start.
So before beginning, I would like to thank National Agriculture Development Cooperative Limited, Baramulla GNK, for giving me the opportunity to be the part of this 21 days training program. And today I'll be discussing over the topic, precision livestock feeding, a breakthrough towards sustainability. So in my entire presentation, these are the different topics that I'll be discussing. What is the importance of livestock in agriculture and what are the related constraints that we are facing in rearing the livestock? After that, what are the basics behind conventional feeding and what are the associated challenges? Thereafter, what is precision feeding and why it is needed? What are the goals and principles for this precision feeding? What are the different components and technologies that are related with this precision livestock feeding? What are the different benefits and the limitations associated with that? And what future trends or the innovations that we can incorporate into this? And ultimately the conclusions. So let's see what is the importance of livestock in agriculture. So there are main 3 points. First one is the livestock contributes to global food security. As we all know that we obtain several products from the animals. It may be milk, it may be meat, it may be egg. And all these different products, they contain essential nutrients. It may be vitamins, minerals, proteins, etc. And therefore, these products helps in the sustenance of millions of people around the world. Other than that, livestock contributes to rural livelihood by providing a source of income, by providing a source of employment. And if we talk globally, the contribution of this livestock sector in the total country's GDP, it is around 4%. And if we talk about the contribution to agricultural GDP, it is around 25%. And the last one is this livestock sector, it cooperate or it support the agriculture system. How? Livestock, they provide manure as a source of fertilizer for the crops. And on another hand, the byproducts of the crop, or we can say the crop residues, they are being used as a source of feed for the animals. In this way, livestock, they helps to maintain or they contribute to the circular agriculture. So these are the main importance of livestock in the agriculture. Now let's see what are the different constraints behind the livestock production, especially in the Indian scenario. So there are 4 constraints. The first one is the shortage of quality feed resources. As we know, the human population is continuously being increasing. So there is a competition between the humans and the animals for the conventional feed ingredients. To reduce this competition between them and to bridge up the gap, the conventional ingredients are mostly used for the consumption of humans rather than the animals. So thereby, there will be shortage of quality feed resources. Another constraint is the high cost of production. Obviously, when we are not feeding them appropriately, the cost of production will increase. And to overcome this factor, we have to go with the different strategies so that we can utilize whatever resources are available, we can utilize them as efficiently as possible. Another constraint is the increase in the environmental pollution. How the livestock are contributing to environmental pollution? Generally, the factors that cause this pollution, they may be the natural one or they may be the anthropogenic one. And the example may be due to burning of crop residue, due to emission of greenhouse gases as a natural process from the livestock that occurs due to fermentation. Other than that, there may be deforestation, oil, gas, seepage, and many factors are there that contributes to environment pollution. And the last one is animal diseases control and the eradication. So if we keep everything aside, we have to make sure that our animal is healthy. And this is very important because if animal is not healthy, everything will get shattered. Either their health or their production or their reproduction, everything. And if we specifically talk about the newborn calves, when the calf is born, their immune system, mucosal microbiota, is not completely developed, due to which they are prone to several GI disorders, and especially the calf diarrhea. This calf diarrhea is the main cause of mortality and morbidity in the newborn calves, and it has been reported that the calf mortality because of this calf diarrhea is around 30%. And ultimately, this will have negative impact over the economics. So we have to make sure that we can prevent such diseases in the calf at this stage. Because if the calf is sick at this stage, their subsequent growth will be delayed, and ultimately their productivity will be hampered. So these are the main 4 constraints that we are facing in the livestock production. Now comes to what is the basics behind conventional feeding? Conventional feeding, or we can say traditional feeding, means the practices that are being followed under field conditions, or normally the processes that is being followed for the feeding of animals. The first point is group-based feeding is done. Group-based feeding means the animals are they are classified into different groups on the basis of general characteristics. Like they are classified on the basis of their age, they are classified on the basis of their production stage, they are classified on the basis of their breed or body weight, different general factors. After that, the ration is being formulated as per that particular group, right? And there is no consideration of the individual variations, and we are assuming that all the animals in that particular group, they are having same nutrient requirements. That is group-based feeding. Another is the livestock, they are generally fed with the fixed rations. Fixed ration meet their broad nutritional needs. So why they are fed with the fixed ration? Because these rations are prepared on periodic basis. They may be prepared on weekly basis, they may be prepared on monthly basis. So if they are prepared, like for say example, if the ration is been prepared on a monthly basis, then for the whole month, that particular group of animal will receive the same ration. There is no accountability to the individual variations on daily basis and all. Another is on the conventional system of feeding, animals are being fed by the field workers manually by providing the feed either in the ground or in their paddock. And this manual feeding, there is no consideration of the precise measurement, or there is no calculation that how much that worker is being, how much feed that worker is supplied to the respective animals. And the major drawback behind this will make the process entirely labor intensive. Another is use of commercial feed. The farmers which are not having their own agricultural land, they generally depend on the outsource for the feeds. They purchase the commercial feed or they purchase the premixed feed. So these feeds, commercial feeds, are basically designed to meet the nutritional needs for the broad range of livestock rather than for a particular specific group of animals. And the last one is the supplementation. No doubt in the traditional feeding also the supplementations of the nutrients, micronutrients like vitamins, minerals is being done. But this addition is done without precise measurement that can lead to the overuse or the underusage of such nutrients. So these are the basics or the principle we can say or the practices that are being followed under the traditional system of feeding. So no doubt when the animals are being fed conventionally or traditionally, economics is taken into consideration. But the major drawback behind is in the system, the animals are fed on an average basis or on the basis of the animal which is performing the best in that particular herd. But being a veterinarian or being a nutritionist, one thing that we have to keep in mind that the nutrient requirement is not a parameter for a population, but it is an independent statistic of an individual animal. This is very important. Why? Because the nutrient requirement of the individual animal, it vary with the intrinsic as well as the extrinsic factors. Intrinsic factors, it may be the genetics of that particular animal, the nutritional status of that particular animal, or the health of that particular animal. And if we talk about the extrinsic forces, there may be any kind of stress, like stress due to social or stress due to environment, or what kind of management conditions are being provided to that particular animals. Thus, we can say that the nutrient requirement is as per the individual basis rather than as per the group of animal. Now, in this conventional feeding, what are the different challenges that we can face? First one, obviously, if we are feeding the animal on an average basis, on a group basis, it may leads to the overfeeding or it may leads to the underfeeding. Because in a group feeding, the competition is there between the animals. So the one which are dominant, they will consume more feed, and one which are lesser, they will consume lesser feed. So both overfeeding as well as underfeeding is disadvantageous. Why? Because overfeeding will leads to excess wastage in the feed. And if excess feed wastage is there, it will ultimately reduce the feed cost. Because in the complete livestock production, the contribution of the cost of feed is around 50 to 70%. So if by any strategy, if we can reduce the cost of feed, we can ultimately reduce the cost of the livestock production. And for the underfeeding, what is the disadvantage? If underfeeding is done, the nutrient requirement of the animal will not be met, and ultimately their health, welfare, everything will get compromised. Another challenge, if we are feeding excess of the feed to the animal, what does this indicate indirectly? No doubt it is having economical losses, but it also indicates that the resources, feed resources, are not being utilized efficiently. Another one, excess feeding, it has negative impact on the environment also. Why? Because if we are feeding, for example, say we are feeding excess of protein to the animal, what does it do is excess excretion of nitrogen will be there in the runoff. Then that runoff will go to the water bodies. Ultimately, it will degrade the quality of the soil as well as for the water, and ultimately it affects the aquatic ecosystem. Other than that, if feed is not being utilized properly, that will lead to the greater emission of greenhouse gases, especially the methane from the livestock. And the last one, if the nutrient requirement of the animals is not being met as per their requirement, that will ultimately negatively affect their health and the welfare issues will be there. Now let's see why we need, so these were the limitations, these were the basics that are being followed for the traditional feeding. Now why we need to switch from this conventional system of feeding to the precision feeding. So these basics already we have discussed, but I'll discuss it again, and that too in details. So first one is one size fits all approach. As we have discussed that in the conventional feeding, we are feeding on a group basis on an average, due to which the individual requirements are not being met. So to overcome this issue, we need to go with the precision feeding. Another issue is wastage of feed. So obviously when we are feeding without any precision, overfeeding will lead to the wastage of feed, and excess of nutrients, they will go to the environment, they ultimately pollute the environment. Another issue is inaccurate nutrient delivery, and this is because we are not feeding the animals as per their requirement. We are just feeding them as on an average basis. So if properly nutrients are not being provided to them, their growth will get reduced. They become more susceptible to diseases because of their weakened immune system, and much more health issues will be there. Another one is in the conventional system of feeding. We are not monitoring the animal in real sense. What it will do is, what negative impact does it have is, it will delay the responses to the nutritional deficit or any kind of illness. And ultimately, negative impact will be there over the productivity and the welfare as well. Another factor is economic efficiency. As we have seen that in the conventional feeding as such may leads to the wastage of feed that will ultimately increase the production cost. So to reduce this cost, we have to switch from the conventional system to the precision system. And the last one is sustainability challenges. We have to adopt this precision feeding because we have to reduce the negative impact over the environment that may occur due to emission of greenhouse gases, or that may occur due to leaching out of the excess of nutrients into the water bodies that will ultimately degrade soil, land, and the aquatic ecosystem, much more. So these are the different factors that necessitate that we should shift from the conventional system of feeding to the precision system of feeding. Before moving ahead, let's say which one is better, maximum production or optimum production. So maximum production, if we want to achieve, we have to feed the animal with the excess of nutrients, means we have to do overfeeding. Overfeeding is not at all required, not at all recommended, because it has several disadvantages. Like discussed already, it increases the feed cost, ultimately reduce the profit. It will affect the health of animal in terms of production, in terms of reproduction. Other than that, it causes the environmental pollution. So rather than focusing over the maximum production, our goal should to have the optimum production. How? By ensuring that the feed is being efficiently utilized by the animal, so that we can have maximum returns from that particular amount of feed with the minimum excretion of excess of the nutrients. One more thing is there, we are commonly using the term precision feeding. Is these two words, precision and accuracy, are the same, or there is some difference? There is a difference. What's that? Accuracy, what does it mean? Accuracy means whatever value has been measured, how closely it is related to the actual value. And what is precision? Precision means whatever value we have measured, how closely that measured values are related to each other rather than to the true value, right? So this is the difference. So let's make it more clear. If you can see over here in the diagram A, our main true value or actual value is the center of the circle, which is a white circle. And these black dots that you are seeing, these are the values that have been measured. So in the diagram A, all these measured value means black dots, they are not close to each other, means they are not precise. And these dots are not close to the actual value, means they are not accurate as well. On another hand, if we see on the another diagram labeling B, these black dots means measured value, they are close to the actual value, means they are accurate. But these measured values are far away from each other, means they are not precise. Likewise, if you can see in the diagram C, the measured values, black dots, they are close to each other, means they are precise. But they are very far away from the actual value, means they are not accurate. And finally, in the diagram D, these measured values are close to each other, as well as they are very close to their actual value also, means it is accurate as well as precise. So taking this into consideration, precision feeding means we have to feed the animal as precisely as possible to their actual requirement or to their exact requirement. For the precision feeding, we have to take into consideration the 4R. What are those 4R? That right amount of feed should be provided, right proportion of feed should be provided, right composition, means in terms of quality, right quality should be there, and it should be provided on a right time. This is the basics for precision feeding, means right amount, right proportion, right composition, and at the right time. If we see the detailed definition, what is precision feeding? So precision feeding means we have to provide the animal with the feed that precisely meet the nutrient requirement for optimum productive efficiency, to produce better quality animal products, and to contribute to the cleaner environment and thereby ensure profitability. This definition is just the crux of this entire topic. If you remember, we have discussed certain goals or the disadvantage of conventional system. But in this definition, if we see, our main target for the precision feeding is that we have to meet the nutrient requirement, we have to obtain optimum productive efficiency, we have to produce good quality animal products, we have to ensure that the environment is safe, and we have to make sure that it has profitability. So all these 5 points are the main targets of this precision livestock feeding. And to obtain or to apply this precision feeding, we can go with the usage of advanced tools or techniques, or we can adopt different nutritional strategies also, either to the individual animal or to the herd, to make sure that they are fed precisely. Now, the reason behind why it is important, as we have already discussed, this is required to overcome the challenges of conventional feeding. Other than that, we know there is a global challenge. Why? Because the human population is continuously being increasing, and it has been estimated that by 2050, the population will reach around 10 billion. So to feed this increasing population sustainably, the animal production has to be increased. And to increase this production efficiency, the precision feeding is a better option. Other than that, we have to go with the precision feeding so that the contributions of the livestock in mitigating or in adversely affecting the environment, it can be reduced. And the last one, obviously the economic concern, to make sure that the feed is being efficiently utilized, the resources are being utilized efficiently, the adoption of feeding, precision feeding is essential. Now, what are the different goals of precision feeding? Precision feeding is basically having 3 goals. The first one, we have to feed the animal precisely as per their requirement so that we can have optimum productive efficiency. And by this, we can make sure that every bite that the animal is consuming, it contributes to their productive outcomes. Another goal is by optimally feeding the animal, we have to reduce the wastage of feed due to overfeeding or due to spillage, and thereby we have to reduce the total cost of production. And last one, by precisely feeding the animal, we have to reduce the contribution of livestock to the environmental footprints, either by emission of the greenhouse gases or to the runoff of nutrients in the water bodies. So these are the 3 main goals. Now comes to the key principles of this precision feeding. So first one is we have to monitor the feed intake and the nutrient requirement of animals. And to monitor this, different tools, technologies are being used that I will be discussing in further slides. Another principle is real-time adjustment is done in the feed formulation based upon the data that has been collected using different tools. And ultimately, we have to integrate this real-time data with the technology so that whatever decision has been taken, it can be made applicable. Now comes to the core components of this precision livestock feeding. There are 3 main components. First one is we have to monitor the individual animal. And to monitor that animal, different sensors are being used. Another component is using those sensors, we have to extract the data. And third one is from that data, that data is being put into the AI tools or the different softwares, and automatically we made ultimate decision that we have to take. Now come in details to the technologies that are driving this precision livestock feeding. As already discussed in the components, the first component is we have to individually monitor the animal. To monitor the animal, we are using different kinds of sensor, different IoT devices. What are IoT devices? IoT devices stands for Internet of Things devices. These are nothing but the non-standard computing hardware devices, which may be any kind of sensor, any kind of applicator. These devices are connected wirelessly to the network, and then they transmit the data to those devices. So different kind of sensor that we are using, that I'll show you in further slide. So what is being done? What is the benefit of using this sensor? So let me show you the different sensors that we use. So in this diagram, these are the different sensors, like we are using ear tags. We are using RFID tags. RFID stands for Radio Frequency Identification System. Other than that, the collars are being used, pedometer are being used, gyrometers are being used, and using these different sensors, we are measuring different data. Like we can see that what is the feeding behavior of that particular animal, means how much is their chewing time, how much feed they are consuming. Other than that, we can measure what is their body temperature, what is their rumination, what is their locomotion activity, what is their present location, what is their milk yield, what is the composition of that milk. So all these different parameters we can record it using sensors. So what is the benefit of recording the data using these sensors? So first one is, using the sensors, we are monitoring the animal in real time, means it is done simultaneously. Right? Other than that, early detection of the health issues can be done. For example, if we are observing, like commonly RFID tags are being used to monitor the feeding behavior of animal. So if we see that a particular animal is showing any deviation from the normal feeding behavior, we can predict there is some issue with their health or some else problem will be there. So accordingly, the actions can be taken promptly. So this is the main benefit of this precision feeding, that real-time monitoring is being done. And if any kind of health issues is there, they can be detected at an early stage, and accordingly corrective actions can be taken. Another technology or the tool that we are using is the use of automated feeders and robotics. What are the robotics? So, or what are the automatic feeders? These advanced tools, they are used to ensure that the animal receive right amount of feed and right type of feed. How we have to get it ensured? Because these robotics or the automatic feeders, they automatically distribute the feed on the basis of the data that has been obtained from the sensors. Sensors provide the data that which animal require how much quantity of feed. And then these robotics or the automatic feeders, they will automatically dispense that particular fixed amount of feed to that particular animal. And another example of such a tool is automatic and intelligent precision feeder. These kind of feeders, they are generally based on AI technologies, mathematical growth models, advanced database software. So these precise feeder, what they do is they also helps to estimate the requirement of individual animal on daily basis. And what is the benefit of using these automated feeders and robotics? Obviously, if the automation is being applied, the labor will be saved and there will be consistency in delivering the feed. So this I've already discussed. And another tools that we are using in this kind of feeding is use of softwares. Data-driven softwares are being used, AI-based tools are being used. For what? For doing the final calculations, that what adjustment or what changes we have to make in the ration formulation or the feeding of animals. So whatever we have to take the decision, that is done by using these softwares. And the main benefit behind using the software is they are accurately decision making and the chances of human error will be reduced. So this is the complete overflow of the technologies that are being used in the precision livestock feeding. So let me give an overview. First, we have studied that sensors and IoT devices are there. Another was we have to extract that data. And third one, we have to process that data. So here you can see this is the animal which is equipped with the different kinds of sensors. So what these sensors will do, they will record the data, they will record the biological parameters related to the physiology of that particular animal or feeding behavior of that particular animal. So all this data, it will be carried out, it will be transmitted by the IoT devices, or it will be captured by the IoT devices. Then these IoT devices, they are wirelessly connected to a system, and with the help of connectivity, they help to transfer the data that has been recorded. Now, using different softwares or AI-based models, the data that has been captured, that will be used to interpret the final decision. And that is in the hands of farmers, that what ultimate decision he wants to take. And accordingly, the changes or modifications are being done. So this is the complete overflow when we are applying the advanced tools and technologies in this precision livestock feeding. Other than using these advanced tools and technologies, we can also go with the nutritional strategies for this precision feeding. So the first one is we have to formulate the diet on real-time nutrient needs. As already discussed, that individual requirement for the diet, it vary with the different factors like species, age, breed, production stage, etc. So accordingly, if we are monitoring the animals on real time, one more thing is being done, like in a place where the animals are being kept, we can install a CCTV camera also. Through that camera also, we can do the real-time monitoring, because this will be a little bit cost-effective also. So by monitoring the animal in real-time sense, we have to formulate the data, we have to formulate the diet as per their requirement. And in a study, it has been reported that by enabling this IoT-enabled monitoring system, means the ration formulation, after continuous monitoring of animal, we can reduce the feed wastage by 20%, and we can improve the productivity by 12 to 15%. Other nutritional strategy that we can opt is we can use different kind of feed additives in the diet to improve the digestibility. There are several feed additives. There are probiotics, prebiotics, enzymes, hormones, etc. So what these feed additives basically do, these feed additives, generally they improve the digestibility of the feed, thereby the feed intake can be increased, and thus the nutrient absorption and ultimate health of the animal will be improved. And obviously, if the feed utilization efficiency is improved, the emission of methane by the ruminants will get reduced. And in a study, it has been reported that implementation of this feeding system, it reduces the feed cost by around 12%, and methane emission gets reduced by around 7%. Another feeding strategy that we can go with is balancing of protein and energy in the diet. Both these nutrients, protein and energy, they are very critical and they are very costly ingredients. So we have to make sure that whatever diet we are formulating, the balance between the two is being maintained. Why? Because, and this can also be made ensured by optimizing the synthesis of microbial protein synthesis in the rumen, and by maintaining the ratio of human degradable protein to that of the undegradable protein, or we can say bypass protein. Why the balancing is required, or why we have to optimize the microbial protein synthesis is, for example, say if we have fed excess of protein to our animal, what will be done? Excess protein will lead to the excess production of ammonia. If that excess ammonia is there, it won't be effectively utilized by the rumen microbes, so it will undergo urea cycle in the liver. So this urea cycle in the liver, it will include some expenditure of energy for this urea cycle at the expense of production cost. So we have to make sure that we are supplying sufficient amount of fermentable carbohydrates in our diet, means a source of energy in our diet, so that whatever ammonia is being liberated, that is efficiently utilized by the human microbes for the synthesis of microbial protein. That is why the balancing of both these two nutrients is very essential in the diet. Other than that, we can also supplement the diet with the amino acid. That will also be advantageous. Why? Because if we supplement amino acid to the diet, it will reduce the excretion of nitrogen per unit of milk production. And in a study, it has been reported that if we optimize the diet for the protein and energy, the feed efficiency gets improved by 9% and excretion of nitrogen can be reduced by around 20%. And another feeding strategy that we can go with, that is processing of the feed ingredients. So the processing of ingredients, there are several methods. Physical methods are there, chemical methods are there, biological methods are there. And the benefits of processing our ingredients are like their digestibility will be increased. If digestibility improves, their voluntary feed intake increases. And ultimately, the availability and production performance of the element will be improved. And other than that, if we are processing our feed, applying suitable methods, they will also help in the reduction of the anti-nutritional factors that are being present in that particular feed ingredient. So that is all, that how we can achieve the precision feeding. We can go with the advanced tools, technologies, we can go with the different nutritional strategies. Now let's see, with this precision livestock feeding, what are the different benefits? So the first and foremost benefit is related to economics. How it is providing the economic benefits? Obviously, when we are precisely meeting the nutrient requirement of the animal, the feed is utilized very efficiently. And if feed is being efficiently utilized, feed wastage will not be there, and ultimately the cost will be reduced. Other than that, meeting the requirement of the animal precisely will ultimately improve their health, improve their production as well as reproduction performance with the very minimum or fewer inputs. Another benefit is in regarding the environment. How the precision feeding is benefiting the environment? As discussed earlier also, if we are precisely feeding the animals, what it will do is nutrients will be utilized efficiently. There will be no excess runoff of the nutrients into the water bodies, thereby it will conserve the water as well as soil quality. Other than that, efficient utilization of nutrients will reduce the emission of greenhouse gases by the livestock. And another way to reduce the environment negative effect is efficient utilization of the resources. So efficient utilization of the feed, it will also reduces the demand for the feed crops, and it make the land and water resources free and they can be used for some another alternate purpose. Another benefit is most important, that is related with the animal welfare. How it is supporting the animal welfare? Obviously by meeting the individual requirement, and that too on daily basis. And another is, as we have seen that in the conventional feeding, group feeding is done. In group feeding, there is competition between the animals, and that competition may lead to the stress. But this kind of stress can be minimized if we are precisely feeding the animals as per their requirement. And other than that, provision of high quality ration will reduce the likelihood of development of any kind of nutritional or the metabolic disorder. So these were the different benefits. Now, this is again a benefit that precision livestock feeding, it also contributes to sustainable agriculture. How? The first one is this precision feeding, it aligns with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So basically, there are total 17 development goals which has been designed to declare sustainable future for all by 2030. So among these 17 goals, the precision feeding is linked with the two main goals. The first one is the zero hunger, another one is the climate action. So let's discuss with the zero hunger. Zero hunger, As the name suggests, how by precisely feeding the animal, we are ensuring that the feed is being utilized very efficiently, and if feed is utilized efficiently, that will ultimately improve the feed conversion efficiency, and that will reduce the feed cost, avoid the chances of underfeeding. And this precision feeding also aligns with the climate action, how it reduces the impact or it reduces the contribution of livestock over the negative impact of climate. How? By reducing the emission of greenhouse gases, and other than that, it reduces the excretion of excess of nutrients into the environment. Another role is sustainability in the utilization of resources. It's again the same, efficient utilization will have efficient feed utilization, reduces the pressure over the feed production or the consumption of water or the usage of land. And ultimately, we can conserve our resources for some alternate purpose, and we can maintain our biodiversity. And the last one is it promotes the circular agriculture. I discussed earlier also how it maintains circular agriculture by providing the manure as a source of fertilizer, and on another hand, the byproducts of the crop, they can be used for the feeding of animals, and this complete circle keeps on revolving. Now, another is what are the limitations and what are the challenges? Till now, we have studied, yes, precision feeding has this benefit, that benefit, but behind the benefits, there are certain limitations also. First one is high initial investment. As we have discussed that in this precision feeding, we are using advanced tools, technologies, and all softwares. So the purchase of these tools, the installation, their further maintenance is very costly. And this high cost, it prohibits the adoption of the system for the small or the medium scale farmers. Other than that, in the low income regions, specifically if we talk about our country, there is limited access to financial support, and further it will complicate its adoption. Another disadvantage is the skill requirement. As we are moving from the conventional system of feeding to the data-driven decision making, and this involves the usage of complex technologies. So to use this, to understand and to manage such technologies, technical assistance is required for the farmers. For that, we need to provide them training, we need to provide them technical assistance, but in many areas, the availability of such extension services is not available. Another drawback is the management of data. As we know that in the precision feeding, vast amount of data is being generated from the sensors, devices, or the automatic feeders, robotics, whatever we are using. So managing this data, storing and analyzing the data in real time sense is a big challenge. Another issue, for obtaining the data or for extracting the data, for transmitting the data from the devices to the software, we need high-speed internet connectivity. But in the rural area or in the remote area, this connectivity is not that much high. And this further hinders the functionality of this system. And the last one is for the management of data, we are using softwares. These softwares, they require proper subscription, their periodic updates. So all this purchase and updates, it will add additional operating cost. And other than that, it creates our dependency on the external service provider. So this is the drawbacks in terms of the management of data. And the last one is scalability. It was not adaptable at a wider scale. Why? Because there is lack of financial assistance, there is lack of technical infrastructure, due to which it is not applicable in the small or the medium scale farms. This system of advanced tools and technology is basically, it is designed for the large scale commercial farms only. And if we talk about in some regions where traditional system of feeding is deeply enrooted into the people, the adoption of such system can face resistance due to ritual or cultural or practical constraints. So these are the main drawbacks behind the precision livestock feeding. At last, what innovations or what else we can incorporate in this feeding is, first we can incorporate or we can integrate artificial intelligence in the livestock genetics so as to identify the traits which are associated with the efficient utilization of nutrients. So by identifying these traits and breeding accordingly, we can make sure that our future generation of livestock has better conversion, feed conversion ratio, and thereby it will reduce the cost and the optimum utilization of resources. Another thing that we can do is we can integrate artificial intelligence with the real-time monitoring of data so that the customized diets can be formulated to meet the exact nutrient requirements of a particular animal, and that too on the daily basis. And the last one is we have to support our smallholder farmers. How? We can provide them the loans with the low interest, we can provide them with the subsidies, and above all, we have to provide them proper trainings and extension services has to be given to them. So based upon all these topics till now, what we have discussed is this precision livestock feeding. It represents the future of sustainable livestock production. How? By providing three main benefits in terms of economic, in terms of benefit, environment, and in terms of improving the welfare of animals. And by integrating the real-time data and advanced tools and technologies, we can make sure that the feed is being efficiently utilized by that particular animal. The productivity that we are obtaining is to the maximum or to the optimum extent, and thereby feed cost is reduced and profitability is increased. And at last, this precision livestock feeding, it aligns with the global sustainability goals. The details has already been discussed and it mostly addresses two key challenges. The first one is the emission of greenhouse gases, and another one is the scarcity of the quality feed and fodder. So that's all about this topic. If you have any queries or anything else, you are most welcome. Thank you. Anyone have any query?
If you have any questions, you can turn on your microphones and ask any questions.
I guess it's not there.